on. So let's begin. So, welcome to The Voice It Tackle the Unspoken, where we shine a light on the shadow of human behavior. I'm Coach Atul Abraham Matthew, also known as an executive presence and an AI generative coach. Here tonight, we are peeling back the layers of abuse to reveal its many faces. We are not just observers in this journey, my friends. We are explorers of the human psyche, ready to challenge our assumptions and emerge with new understanding. Today's show, we are joined by renowned speakers. First, we have Sumaya Sultana. Known as a positive psychological coach, Sumaya brings wealth of experience from both the corporate friend and the individual domestic friend. As a distinguished psychologist with over a decade of expertise in navigating the complex landscapes of human behavior. Okay. Welcome, Sumaya, to tonight's show.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Atul.
Next, we have Nitya, a recognized posh trainer in the corporate arena. With more than a decade old experience as a corporate posh trainer, comes with a vast knowledge on posh laws and how one can implement it. We welcome you, Nitya.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then comes Mr. Akshara Damle. With us, we have the most celebrated speaker in the training industry. His reputation as a psychologist is even recognized among the celebrities. He had the privilege to even speak at the TEDx, the founder of Namo Samvada. And today, he joins us here at our talk show. Welcome, Akshara.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We welcome all you speakers, and today we want all of you to shed a light on today's topic. So, Akshara, as a celebrity psychologist, you have seen the glamorous and the ugly sides of human nature. What common cognitive or emotional patterns do predators exhibit? And how can individuals recognize early warning signs?
A very interesting question, Atul, because this is very, very important for all of us to understand. Because many times we do not recognize who is the predator or how that person comes out as a predator, even when we were not expecting them to be. Right. So some of the characteristic features is something that we all have to recognize so that can be careful and we can understand whether, or we can also be skeptical. I don't say that you have always to be doubting somebody else just because they have some of the traits, but whenever you see those traits, you can definitely be little cautious about yourself so that one can protect themselves. So let me share some of the commonly seen characteristics of a predator. See, generally, if you have observed, most of the predators are very charming and charismatic individuals. So whenever they come across to you, you get blown away. And with that charm and charisma itself, many times they grab the attention of a lot of people, and then they also sometimes use excessive flattery words to impress the other people. Again, people do not get an understanding or recognizing that maybe he is a predator, primarily because when such a charming person is expressing those flattery words, anybody
Yes.
can get influenced by that. And many times they are also manipulators, and gaslighting is something that we commonly see among them. When you say manipulation, it's like they will be creating some, I mean, simply speaking, gaslighting or manipulation is like, say something has happened in the past which might not have happened, but then they will talk as if it has happened, and the other person feels, oh, maybe that is true, maybe I am not remembering it. This is a classic gaslighting nature of the predators, which they do so that people get confused, and then they start following the predator because they start believing in the predator that themselves, because they think that yes, this person remembers so many details which we really do not remember. And generally, they are also having this sense of controlling the others. They also try to or tend to control others. And then, with that control itself, slowly they make the victims fall uh, into their zone where they can become the predators in the real sense. So these are some of the characters. Again, I can go on dissecting one after another, but I think these are the three major important characteristics that we all have to be very, very careful about. Just because they're charming doesn't mean that they're all good or nice. They may become your predators. So one has to be very, very careful with such individuals.
That is very, very interesting when you mention these three characteristics. So many of us come across people like this, but today you have give us enlightened us to make us understand how we should be cautious. That word cautious, you describe characteristics correctly, the three characteristics, but also you mentioned to be cautious about such characters. Thank you, Mr. Akshara, to start off this talk show with explaining us about the characteristics. Now, let's look into a more understanding when we talk about how the predators can justify their actions. Now, let me just break it out. I mean, let me just give it out to all three of you. How do predators rationalize or justify their harmful actions? And how can we challenge this justification to break the cycle?
Yeah, so
Um,
maybe I'll take it and then give it to
yeah.
others. Since
Yes,
I
sure.
have just
Yes.
spoken about the characteristics of the predator. So generally what happens is, see, I will give you one case study. One of my clients was sharing this with me, that she had met somebody on a dating app, and then they started dating each other. And the person went on to ask to that extent that he asked, again, they started meeting for a couple of times. And then one day he even asked permission to hold her hand, right? It was like she was blown away that, oh, what kind of person he is. He respects a woman so much. But then the same person turned out to be a predator, and then he blamed the victim. So this is what happens at a later point of time. Initially, they act as if they are very gentle persons, but later on, what they actually start doing is they start blaming the victims, and they say that it is all because of you. It is all your fault. It is you who probably kind of made me to do that, and it is not because I wanted to do that, because they have already shown some behaviors which actually they could justify that, hey, I'm such a person that I even asked permission to hold your hand. Now you are asking, or you are alleging that I am the predator for you. So this is how
Oh,
they turn it out to the victim in the first place. And sometimes they also say, it's such a small thing. Why do you have to make a noise of it? It is so small. It just happened. We were in the heat of the moment and it happened, right? So this is how they trivialize the whole thing. And then the victim also starts feeling guilty that, did I take it in a wrong way, or am I the one who is making unnecessarily a bigger one or a difficult one? And then sometimes if it becomes little bitter, then they will say, you deserve this. This is the worst part of
oh.
the abuse, where they say that you deserve this. Probably this is why this happened to you. Yeah, so these are the few things that I wanted to share. I leave it to Nitya and Sumaya for their inputs and insights.
Yeah. Thank you, Akshara. As to continue with what you said, basically they say, it was just like that happened. Heat of the moment. I was in a frenzied mood. In a frenzy, it happened. Followed by, the way they say, I'm not, they don't hold the responsibility of what they have done or what they do. They blame it on the society. They blame it on the upbringing. They blame it on the parents, whatnot. My parents were like this, so I became like this. My environment was like this, so I became like this. So it's that they don't take the accountability. They're not responsible for, they don't feel responsible for the actions that they have done. They simply blame it on the others. That's the main reason that they give most of the times when asked, why did you commit such a crime? They're not even aware that it's a crime that they have committed. So the responsibility, they shift it to somebody else. And to add on to it, they say, I was abused as a child. I was not treated well as a child. I underwent this trauma as a child, that trauma as a child. So I had to witness a whole lot of things during my early developmental stages. So what do I do? That is the justification that many of the people now start giving because they don't take accountability or responsibility for their actions. So I think that's where we'll have to, stop, really see as to whether they are the people who are being traumatized or what actually happened. I think adding to it is the substance abuse, which really plays a major role nowadays. It's available almost everywhere, I think. Sorry for telling it, but I think it's available. It's the easy availability of the substance, and the addiction to it is also a major reason why
When you talk
reason that
about
these people give
substance,
us.
sorry, Nitya, sorry to interrupt. When you're talking about
Yes.
substance, can you shine some light on substance abuse?
Substance abuse in the sense drug abuse, basically.
Oh,
It is
okay.
available everywhere nowadays. I don't want to name, but there are a few substances which are available locally in a medical shop itself where you get addicted to those. So once you get addicted to them, you don't know what you're doing. So it's easy to blame. I'm not responsible for it, but it made me do it. I believe these are the basic reasons what those people give us when you ask them or when they are held accountable for their actions. I think Sumaya has to add something to it.
No, wonderful insights from both of you. It's like, with this, I'm just trying to ponder upon so many things, but I just feel like, coming up with long years of working experience as well as I'm a empath. So it usually I really connect to when I'm getting into a healing session. I connect with my participants that somehow energetically so intense that I feel that after that, I just feel that I have gone through all those scenarios. So I would like to considering both of your inputs, I would like to say that I have an opinion where these predators have two dimensions. One, are you an active predator who is mistreating, manipulating, or with your wrong actions and justifying? Or are you a passive predator by just being a spectator up to and see whatever is happening and trying to normalize things? I've gone through both of these situations. So both predators, they rationalize their actions and they don't see the reality. Again, they start shifting into a zone of blaming victims who have gone through not, and they don't even understand the kind of trauma that they are giving or the mark that has been undeniable mark that has been living in their minds and hearts, that is like sabotaging their entire life. And this is where we are saying that this it is okay to do this, or it is okay to touch, it is okay to hold the hand, or it is okay to do whatever it is, because this is something which is not seen directly. It has people who have gone through this understand. So my dear, the people who are watching us, I would also like to underline that this session has nothing to do with any genders. We all respect all the genders. We have worked with all the genders as well as any community. But one thing is that understand how these justifications happen by just making things normal, certain predatory behaviors normal, and also calling out on certain excuses, like how Nitya mentioned that yes, I have gone through this situation and I want to transfer this situation to people. Akshara also mentioned gaslighting and making the other person feel victim, or completely making them feel that there is something wrong in me, and it is also damaging the self-esteem of the other person. And that is how slowly one predator is creating another predator, and these predatory behaviors, whether it is active or passive, it's been multiplying. And yes, they are very charming. Very nicely mentioned by Dr. Akshara. They are very charming. It's difficult to identify them.
Exactly. Exactly, Sumaya. Wonderfully said. Yes, they transfer their energy to the other person. So, you know,
Exactly.
they say they are the victim. They make
Yeah,
somebody else a victim. That victim makes somebody else a victim. So it's just like a chain reaction which continues. It
exactly.
has to.
And we can't turn a blind eye on this. So
Exactly.
people who are watching us, listening to us, this is the time we have to break this cycle.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to tell you that our speakers come with experience. They have interacted with victims and they have interacted even with predators. So make sure that you are actually listening to all that they have to offer. Because for me, this is really enlightening because I come across a lot of couples, I come across a lot of individuals on a not on a daily basis, but when I come and interact and they share their thoughts, for me as an individual, I would say that it is normal. What you're
Right.
going through is normal. I didn't look at it as a part of something which is an abuse, one of the phases of abuse. And this is really, really enlightening. Like, I know that if tomorrow when people listen to this, they are also going to be enlightened to understand that this is one of the phases of abuse.
Right. On the lighter note, Atul, when you're working with couples, it's difficult to say who is the predator, who is the
Who's
victim.
the abuser?
That
Exactly.
is what. And
Well
we
said.
can't just go, we'll have to mellow down. We can't call somebody a predator. We need to mellow down to such a way to make them feel that, hey, both of you are at blame, but you need to somehow manage, somehow to
Yeah.
have to bring it down to that kind of a level. Thank you all for sharing this enlightening thing. I'm really, really happy that we are having this session. And I hope those who are attending are getting enlightened by all this. Do give us a thumbs up if you are. So, Nitya, in your role as a posh trainer, you are on the front lines of workplace dynamics. How can power dynamics in workplaces enable predatory behavior? And what specific steps can leaders take to dismantle?
Um, Now, yes, power, place of power. When you say that, for a janitor in a workplace, a person who's working on the system is more powerful. For him, his team leader is. For
I
him, his manager is. So the power cycle is like it starts from the very basic people in any company, right? So, first step where power makes a play is they feel that the people will not retaliate, the fear of retaliation from the victims. The victims generally don't go and say immediately that I'm being abused or I'm being harassed. Why? First, loss of job. They fear the loss of job. They're not going to get promoted. They're going to get demoted. Humiliation in the workplace. There is no career enhancement. It's like schools, when there is a problem in a with a child with the teacher in a school, and the child comes and tells the parents will want to go and talk to the teacher, but what do the child say? No ma, no pa, don't go talk to them, because the effect will be on me the next day. The same thing happens in corporates also, companies also nowadays. The fear of retaliation. We do not go and complain or open our mouths because we are scared of losing. We are scared of the job security, promotion, humiliation, everything that happens in the workplace. The most important thing is fear of retaliation. The next thing is that there's something called as a normalizing of the behavior. As you said, like Sumaya the last question, she said, we are normalizing a few behaviors at workplace. Those behaviors should actually be stopped. If I am not comfortable in somebody doing something to me, sitting near me or touching me, then that needs to be stopped. Whoever be it, whichever status of power they are. It's kind of that we should never normalize such behaviors in workplace. I strongly feel that if I am not comfortable with a certain something happening, then the other person should not be doing it. The same with any gender. As Samaya said, we are not talking about any specific gender, but yes, same with any gender person. If a male counterpart is not happy me being in his personal space, then I should not be in his personal space. That's the same with the female counterparts. So I feel we should never be normalizing. This is the normal corporate culture. This is a normal company culture. No, there's nothing normal about invading somebody else's space. That needs to stop. And it should not come from the place of power. Because when I work, when I work as an analyst, my leader, my team leader, or my manager is a place of power for me. As I said before, for my janitor, I am a place of power. So this abuse should, they should not think that if I am in that particular place, I can do this, I can invade their space. So that should actually stop. And third is, again, as I said, because nobody complains, there's no action taken. And we have a lot of bystanders, people who are aware there are a lot of these things happening, but yet do not open up for their colleagues, their peers, their friends. But when asked, they say, I know it has been happening for quite some. Then why have you not opened your mouth? It's like, no, the fire is only in the neighbor's house, not in mine. You're not aware that the next it is going to spread to your own place. That's how we are. Anywhere. So there are a lot of incidences. I don't want to pull up any incidents which happened in our country because it happened in one place, then we forgot it for quite some years. Then it happened again. I don't know how long we'll remember it. Probably for another year, and then we'll forget that also until it happens in some other place, or until it happens in our own. So being a bystander itself is not quite, that itself is like you are also committing a crime. Being a bystander also, you're committing a crime, is what I feel. Something is happening wrong in front of your eyes. At least to try and even if you cannot stop it, you can raise your voice against it. It may happen to us sometimes. And very sorry to say, systems in the corporate or the company, they are not taking accountability. They are not being transparent. I don't know how many of us will take it in the right way, but I generally feel, having been worked in a corporate also, I feel the systems should be more transparent. I should be able to go and tell my leader or my manager that this is happening to me. And they should be, instead of going to the HR immediately, my leader should be in a position to talk to me and say, okay, let me look into it. We don't have that kind of accountability. We don't have that kind of transparency in the entire corporate system. That and vulnerability, most of all. Okay, she's my junior. She's a woman. The bias, gender bias is there. Minority. Because women are still a minority in, I'm taking this gender for now, particularly. Women are still a minority in corporate. So she's a junior, she's a woman, she's a minority. So, and people like that, when you're a junior, you depend upon your superiors for almost everything in your career, to know where you should go, what you should do for a promotion, how to extend or expand your career, everything. So you're dependent on them, on the superiors or the people in power to enhance your career as such. So that also plays a very major role in the people in power actually abusing it. I feel these are this is sheer exploitation and manipulation from the people in power. What could be done could be like we could set basic rules, basic boundaries, and transparency in the system. Leaders could actually, talk to their people once in a while, get connected with them and say, you be transparent. They can hold themselves accountable for whatever is happening beneath them and let them know that we are there for you. I think that people will really open up. People who are being abused will definitely open up. They should have that kind of accountability set in place. Should have that responsibility to take care of the people below them. I think that itself will solve a lot of issues coming from that, again, is also coming from power.
Absolutely. The place of
So
power.
when we have those systems in place, I think we can only reduce it. I won't say we can stop it, but then I think we can reduce it to a greater extent.
That's
So
really interesting, Nitya, because all these points that you just referred sums down to one word, and that is fear. Due to fear, And like you said, there should be an openness
Yes.
amongst the leaders. There should be an openness towards their juniors, towards those who are working with them. But we don't find that a lot in today's corporate. And Nitya, I also don't like to take names, but because of this interesting response that you gave, I would like to understand what kind of abuse was there in recently, that news about a girl who just passed away in cardiac arrest because of a big four company firm. What
Exactly.
kind of an abuse was that?
I would not relate it to gender abuse there, but probably I think that abuse or harassment could be because of excessive work. Could be. Again, I'm saying could be because of excessive work.
That is
We
what
we
the
don't
news shows,
know.
but we don't know
Yeah,
the actual truth. Correct.
exactly. We do not know
There
the
you go.
reason how she lived her life. We do not know the reason how long she worked, or did she have to work those long hours? What was the kind of the atmosphere that she was in? We do not know anything. But then right now, if we see, we are just blaming the company for the
Company
death of the girl. I'm not saying it they should not be blamed, or it's the complete what to say that the child is not the victim. The child is the victim there. The
is the
girl is
victim.
a victim.
Yes,
She's hardly
absolutely.
26 years old. She's a victim.
26.
More the parents are the victim. They have lost their child.
Hmm.
So here again, what I feel is that there should be a training kind of stuff in place where when you induct itself, um, they should be given some kind of training as to this is the kind of job that you're looking at. This is what we expect from you. And are those people actually good enough to take those stress? Like apart from all the interviews, we should have a stress review system also in place in the company every quarter, every
Absolutely.
3 months or so, to actually assess the mental well-being of the employee.
And the
I
applause.
think that would reduce it to a great extent things like this cardiac arrest, or that is very untimely. What happened to the I really want to refer to her as a kid, because she's so young. That's not the age also. So I believe systems like this, a training program or a stress evaluator, mental
That's
well-being
evaluate.
programs, all these evaluation should happen on a regular basis to see how the employees are actually coping up. That should be, I think, inculcated in the companies to stop. At least the big companies, they start doing it, the smaller ones will follow.
Very
That,
interesting.
that's what
Thank
I
you,
feel.
Nitya. That is very right. We should have something as an assessment, to have it at least a weekly basis to help understand the well-being of the employees. That's a very good point. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now
Thank you.
over to Sumaya. As you know, Sumaya, hypnotherapy dwells into the subconscious. How can approaches to support survivors while ensuring predators are held accountable?
All right. So, see, when you say hypnotherapy is one of the discipline which we get into the subconscious, understand from the subconscious level the kind of uh, trauma or the pain the victim is carrying. But for this also, you also need a conscious approach where they take a decision to work on it, right? And also,
Mhm,
uh,
mhm. Yes,
before even talking about hypnotherapy, what about certain approaches that you take on understanding your own emotions?
mhm.
That is
Correct.
something we need to understand. And also, like
Understand.
Nitya mentioned, that emotional intelligence can be given as a training in any organization, or make them understand to leaders that emotion, there is something called emotional intelligence model, and you do this, or you want to use emotional intelligence as a tool to empower others where they can act towards exploitation, right? There are a lot of approaches towards treating the trauma, or towards treating the victim but my attention, and we all are on the same rowing the same boat, where we are saying that why do you need someone like us to work on it? Why can't you first stand for yourself? Because we talk about different phases of abuse. Why are you becoming a self abuser? That is what we are doing by now. We're be self abusing by not taking any action. And the biggest self abuse is silence. So all
I like that.
these things have to be highlighted first at home, reinforced in institution, then corporates, then it has to be turned as a practice. I'm sure there are like lot of ways to call out these violations, treat, handle all this. But if you see in the broader environment, a culture of empathy and vigilance can bring a change. Like you mentioned, assessment, and we have today Dr. Akshara. By end of this program, he'll also be sharing a lovely assessment with all. So Dr. Akshara, I would like to also to I want you to throw some light over here, that how have you been seeing these kind of challenges, and like what are the approaches that you have been taking?
Thank you, Sumaya. I think the thought that I was getting as you were talking is
Yeah.
we need to look at this from two perspectives. That is, one is preventive perspective, and the second is curative perspective.
Right.
So the question that Atul was asking about hypnotherapy is coming from a curative perspective, where anyway, the incident has happened and then we need to heal the trauma, right? I mean, that is another challenge altogether. However, how do we, as you rightly said, how do we prevent it from happening is a major question that we all need to understand in the first place, because it is always better to prevent than cure.
Yeah.
And it is also important for all of us to be aware, how do we prevent these things from happening so that we protect ourselves, because the collateral damage of a trauma is much more than learning the preventive strategies. So
Right.
again, since both of you have spoken about emotional intelligence, I would like to touch upon that aspect as well. Because see, generally who falls or who becomes a victim is something that we need to understand. So while we were characterizing the predator, one more thing that I would like to do here is, who are the ones who easily become the victims, right? So here, some of them or most of the victims who have fallen into this trap are the ones who are emotionally extremely vulnerable, right? So they are not completely aware about what are the vulnerabilities that they have, and then they randomly share their vulnerabilities with anybody and everybody without even understanding what is the cost of sharing it. While as a therapist, I mean, call upon people to share their vulnerabilities. At the same time, it is also important whom are you sharing with, whether the person is a professional or whether the person is genuinely concerned about it, or is it that they will be using it for their advantage. So self-awareness is something that is very important for every human being, specifically to prevent this kind of abuse from happening, because they need to understand what are their triggers and what are their weak points. For example, if again coming from the inner child perspective, if a person has gone through a childhood conflict where the person has not got enough attention from their parents,
Yeah.
they will be seeking attention from others. Now, anybody who gives attention to them, they fall towards that trap. And as we saw about the predator characterization, they're charming and they're charismatic, and they will give that attention to the victim so that it is easy for them to get them into the trap, right? So being aware about our emotional vulnerabilities and what are our weak points or what are our triggers is something that all the victims have to be mindful of. So when that is happening, then it is easy for us to recognize what is really happening in this process. And every time I say that self reflection is very important, Even if somebody is giving too much of attention, ask yourself, why is this person giving so much of attention, right? And if they are, I mean, if you are getting influenced by somebody, even when they are not giving so much of attention, still ask yourself, why am I getting so influenced by that person? So when you are questioning your own emotions, thoughts, and behavior, it will be easy for you to dissect or pause at least to see if everything is in the right track or if there is anything wrong that is going. So that is where self-awareness of our own emotion, that is what the first step is. That's why many times when people say emotional intelligence is all about stepping into other person's shoes, I very often ask them, are you aware of your own shoes?
Shoes. Super.
After that, you can walk into or step into other shoes. So first thing that we need to do is let us understand our own shoes, our own emotions. That is when we will be able to look at the warning signs that may be coming from the predator. And it is also important for all of us to understand that this world is not fair. I am also somebody who always believed that world is fair because I come from a small town where everything is very simple. We do not have a lot of complexities. We do not have people. I mean, at least at that point of time in my growing years, I didn't see much of cheating, this, that, and all happening. So I always believed world is a fair place. But when I came to the outer world, I actually witnessed that world is not fair. World has every essence in it. Every taste is there in the world. People are good, people are bad. You need to be aware whom to trust, what to do, etc., etc. So every person need to be understanding that world is not fair. Just because somebody is sharing a helping hand doesn't mean that the whole world is like that. Or even when somebody is extending their help, doesn't mean that they are genuinely helping you. There can be a hidden agenda too. So one has to be mindful of these things so that they will be able to look at what is really happening with them. And also, one should not get too much into impulsive actions, especially when, say, somebody is calling for a party. Okay, I'm going for the party. Somebody is calling for some outing. I'm going out. So there is a self-regulation that is also required so that we are protecting ourselves and we are also creating a boundary. So when a person is creating a boundary, then the predator will also think twice to cross that boundary. And if the person is not creating that boundary, then it is an easy, open access to the predator to do whatever they want. And then again, consequences are not impacting them. The predators are still free, right? So this is what is very, very important for all of us to understand, that it is within us. It is about our energy, our understanding, our awareness that will help us in protecting ourselves. And then comes society, community, family, and everything else. So that is what
Exactly.
I feel.
Wonderful,
I
Excellent.
like
doctor. So I would just like to add to this and certain, I am now able to recollect certain things that I was educated. See, when we speak about prevention, our families become preventive, protective, and let us see in what manner. The moment in our country when a girl reaches the puberty, you know what is the self awareness. See, self awareness, yes, there is an age to be self aware. The innocent minds doesn't know what is self aware. They are now aware, or they are just operating on the beliefs of their parents, their elders, and whatever they are collecting from people around them. And the inner child harm happens when people in our country talk about this prevention and protection, saying that now things have changed for you. You can't go out like this. You can't, the moment I reached puberty, my mother, she started taking extra care for me, become protective, become worried. And then suddenly they got me dupatta and they asked me to start wearing a dupatta from here on. Okay. Then why is the sudden change? What happened in a day? And that was, they were trying to protect. Okay, you need not go, like earlier, you need not go. I was like more like a tomboy. Okay, you need not go and play outside, or you need not go in front of others out, like any of your family members also, just like that. So this is how you need to be. And there were so much of protection which was given, and we started feeling that okay, there is something has changed within me, and now I'm self victimizing and say, just because I have reached puberty or the changes that I have been seeing, I'm not educated about what is the change that is happening. But instead of that, there is so much of other things which are other beliefs that have been trying to ingrain in me, that I am completely changing what is self awareness. So this is what your people are making me aware of. And yes, this is self awareness of me. And that is where you might have like as we are growing, we see more than anything, we are just so much self-aware. For us is adjusting my clothes. Self-aware for us, have I not spoken loudly? Self-awareness is, oh, did I say something wrong? Oh, what the other person would have thought about us. Yeah, that is not self-awareness.
Yes, Samaya, that is
Right.
guilt. That is
Yeah,
creating guilt right from
exactly,
the
creating a
childhood.
guilt.
No, are we doing that for all the gender is my question. Now let's not go anywhere else. But when, as you said, yes, I also underwent the same thing. No, this has to be, this is how you should go out. This is the
Exactly.
kind of clothes that you wear. Now, why are you talking like this in front of people? Why did you come out like this in front of people? Don't you know not to do this? So these are all the questions that are put across to most of the female children today. I mean, I don't know today,
Correct.
in our age.
Correct.
Yeah, that
Absolutely.
happened.
Yeah.
And we, as parents, I think we still carry that. When my child is a little late, I'm scared today.
Mm,
I still give her
Yes.
the freedom to go out and come back. She says, I'm
right.
free. Why can't I go and come back? Everybody else is doing that. My friend is doing that. But again, we are only restricting. It's like when we say protection, we are only restricting the child not to do a certain things because he or she is a girl. She is a
Exactly.
she.
And
So
Nitya,
where
I
are we
can,
actually
uh,
preventing it?
right.
Sorry, Samya. Yes.
The way
No,
all of you had shared your thoughts on this very thing, I really understood the way we as parents, or we as how you may take it, as individuals need to approach, first create an awareness in our
exactly.
house.
Right.
Speak to our children. Just don't let us not restrict our children. Let us not restrict anybody, but speak to them, make them understand the boundaries, just like Dr. Akshara was speaking about the boundaries. See, for example, I'm sorry I have to take gender here. Our daughters, if our daughters are moving on to another city, we can't just tell you need to be back home by 10. Make sure that you give me a call. I need to know. We need to do more than that. What if they meet a male companion and they feel
Mm,
so comfortable? And Mr. Akshara really shared thoughts about a predator. He's charismatic, looks good. Our daughters will go, oh, he looks very good. He's understanding. He understands me more than
so well.
my dad. Oh,
Correct.
I never thought I can find a guy like this. Trust me, I'm coming. I understand a lot of people have come to me and spoken about this. And after some time, this person becomes abusive because there was something the female said and he didn't like it. And he changes. So I can relate. That is when we have to educate our girls and understand, good, you have made male friends, but you need to keep a boundary. And we need to show them the red flags and the green flags. We all understand red flags and green flags in a relationship. So before we create awareness anywhere, it's our homes that we need to create an awareness.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And it's with both the genders, whether it
Gender.
is a girl or a boy, parents have to be now, like I mentioned, we are breaking the cycle. So now you have to educate both, that what is the good behavior that you need to have with the other opposite gender, as well as the fear of every woman who is listening this would agree that we women have that back of mind. The biggest fear is I will get raped if I'm late.
Is that correct, Aksara and Nitya? Is that the mentality of a
Every
victim?
woman has this fear that what if this happens to me?
What if
Most of
I
the women,
agree?
and
Yes.
including me, because yes, the moment I want to reach home on time because I want to be safe. I don't want to go through this. I want my kid to come safe. This is what I want to. I want it for them. So all the women have that back of the mind. What if I get raped? So that fear, I think we have to, I believe strongly that you need to reduce that fear and educate also our boys how to respect. See, women, we are creating a lot of mama's boy. Being a mama's boy, we also, boys share a good bonding with mothers. So that is a good way to teach them how to empathize and how to be kind towards other women.
That
Just
Sumaya, I
start
would
from
like
there.
to
Just
Sumaya,
start from there.
I like to add on to what you just said. It educate our boys.
Yeah,
How do we educate our children if we ourselves are not showing that example? It starts
exactly.
from us. We need to show an example. How do we respect their mother? How do we respect the mother's mother or the parents? If they see our actions, and that is how they take. What if I was an abusive husband to my wife? My
And
son
that
would
is
see
where
that and he would
the,
think
like
it's
Nitya
casual.
mentioned, place of power. Boy
Place
or
of
girl
power.
feels that when you are loud, you are powerful, and I'm slowly trying to, emulate your behaviors, capturing your behaviors, and I'm emulating because I'm coming from the place of power.
Ah,
Yeah, rightly said.
Yeah.
correct. That's good.
And that is where I think, I was just beginning of the session, I asked doctor that doctor had addressed 600 students. And I think almost all, now it's the time for our generations to look back how their entire thinking was. Good touch, bad touch, you're teaching in the school. But it is like, why are we not saying that, okay, why you come and complain after the touch has happened? Why are we not saying that not to touch when
There
when
you
you
go.
have grown
There
up?
you go.
You
There you
just
go.
wait, you wait till touch has happened, you scream, then you come and inform the parents.
There you go.
No,
That's
as
where we are lacking.
Sumaya rightly said, we teaching the girls good touch and bad touch. Why not teach the same to the boys as well?
Now
Yes,
boys
yes,
are
of
also
course.
educated,
Boys
and I
are
have
also
seen
educated. Yes.
boys going through all this situation in their young childhood, and where they
Yes.
are not allowed to openly articulate this because they are again feeling that I, as a boy, coming from the place of power.
Baba, exactly.
I have seen a lot of kids, whether it is a boy, girl, this is happening a lot. But again, I'm the place of power. And this is like, okay, I shouldn't speak about it.
That's very
Harassment
interesting.
happens at both the levels.
Both
Abuse
the levels,
happens at
exactly. It
both the
Both the
happens at
genders.
both the
levels.
Yes.
levels.
Both the genders.
But
Yes,
the
yes.
impact and normalizing and common, I can say, common in volume, it is happening with women. Otherwise, both the genders are getting equally affected.
Exactly.
Starting from the girls, young age to the woman.
Right.
Absolutely. So, Akshara, I'd like to come to you right now.
Mm.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Thank you all. Akshara, let's turn our attention to a critical aspect of abuse, its aftermath and prevention. As a psychologist, you have likely encountered various cases that shed light on this particular issues. Could you walk us through the psychological impact that predators typically have on their victims? How can we empower bystanders to intervene effectively?
Yes, understanding this is very crucial. And I would like to, since both Nitya and Sumaya are talking about even boys being victims of abuse, I would like to share a case study. Again, when this case came to me, I was also not equipped to deal with it because I was not even, again, it was also a kind of difficult case because what had happened is an eighth standard boy, that too in a small town, had got abused by an auto driver who used to stay nearby
Oh
to their
God.
house. Okay. Now, unfortunately, again in the small towns you have these festivals where
Hmm.
children are allowed to go,
Absolutely.
right? And
Absolutely. Yes.
Parents are not perplexed like in the cities. They just
Mhm.
allow them to go because they feel that their children are safe. But
Correct.
unfortunately, in similar situation, this auto driver took this boy because there was some kind of familiarity, or the boy also didn't question much about why is this auto driver calling me or where is he taking me, etc. And he took him to a very remote place,
Isolated.
abused him, and boy didn't even know that an abuse had happened to him. He didn't even know what was that act, because again, the sex education is not given in the childhood for many youngsters. And he actually came and told his mother something like this and all happened, and I had gone out with him. And thankfully, the mother recognized that it was an abuse, and she immediately informed the father. And then both the parents stood by the boy, and then they took to the police station and complained, and then it went to the court. But unfortunately, one more thing that the predator had done is he did some black magic and got his the boy's I mean talking ability to be taken away. So when the boy came to me, he was just sitting and looking at me. He was not even talking. I requested him, can you write down for the questions that I'm asking? Still, he didn't talk because after talking to the police, then in the court, probably he also got traumatized so much, because later on he started realizing that what happened with me is not correct, is not justified. And then post-traumatic stress disorder might also have creeped in. Again, I don't know much because I couldn't treat him because he was not ready to talk. He was not ready to write down, or he was in such a state that he was not responding to any modalities of therapy. But this is the dark side of abuse.
Exactly. So because the biological impact is visible in women, it's not visible in man. That's the reason we feel that it's only women are getting impacted. No, psychologically, both the genders are equally getting impacted.
Yes. And I was shaken. I didn't know what to do. And yeah, this is what is happening. And PTSD is very commonly seen among both, any victim for that matter, irrespective of the gender. And in fact, I had also seen one more case where a woman who wanted to get married because she wanted a companion after, again, she had attained a marriage age, but she was not finding any right guy. That was the problem statement that she came up with. But actually, what had happened is her close uncle had abused her. That too, when everyone around were there, because it was a family function that was happening, and in the night, this fellow did it. And unfortunately, when this girl went and told her mother, mother didn't even believe that he could be the predator. This is the other darker side of this whole abuse, that many times it is not some unknown person who abuses the victim. Many times it is a very close family member who is abusing. It can be
Correct.
a cousin brother. And I have also seen cases where the protective figure in the family, the father himself, has abused their own daughters. And you imagine what could be the condition of the victim to look at the world. Can she even trust the world? So a lot of victims also go through this issue of trust issues, anxiety issues. They also get into depression because uh, they do not know what to do with this pain. And nobody is acknowledging, nobody is doing anything about it. And they're also scared, as Nitya was talking about the job security to issue of job security, to talk about the abuser. Likewise, here it is the question of existence itself. So many times victims do not even talk about it. They just keep quiet because nobody is acknowledging it. And because of that, they start developing self-doubt, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, and then it becomes a vicious cycle altogether. And then they also start feeling shameful about themselves, not about the predator, but they start feeling shameful about themselves. Probably there was some mistake in me because of which this happened to me, right? So then it is going, it's a downfall for that victim, and it's very difficult to bring them up unless they go for a therapeutic intervention. However, one more challenge about the therapeutic intervention is many times those who are continuing their life in some or other way, pushing themselves hard and hard, now they have this apprehension about the therapy because they know that during the therapy they may have to relive the traumatic incident again. And it is really traumatic, so they avoid getting into the therapy as well. So this is another challenge. And one more issue is, see, again, some therapists like Sumaya are capable of treating these kind of cases, but many times there are issues of finding the right therapist. I'll tell you why.
Correct.
See, when it comes to a female therapist, many times the female therapist herself has gone through a similar abuse, and she starts relating with the client who is a victim, and then they start talking about it, but there is no therapeutic intervention that happening because the therapist herself is not resolved with her trauma, right? This is one challenge in finding a female therapist. And I'll tell you the difficulty of finding a male or going to a male therapist. Now you are carrying a trauma about the opposite gender, right? And because it is generally the male who is the predator, and because of that, you are already carrying trauma about the gender, and now if you have to go to a male therapist, it is much more difficult to the client or the victim. And during the therapy, sometimes victims also say that he was like an animal who behaved with me. And then sometimes the male therapist take it on their ego that no, not male, every male is like that. Then the whole purpose of therapy is lost. So this is where a very strong grounding is required for a therapist to deal with these traumatic issues. And that is why many people are not finding the right therapist. And even I have seen some cases where therapists themselves have blamed the victim. Probably you should have taken care of yourself. And then
Absolutely.
it becomes even a messer thing for themselves. So that is why these are the multiple complex issues that are created because of the abuse that happens. And then, I mean, there are also extreme steps that people take because they are not able to face the world. At the same time, we can also see issues of intimacy even if they get married, because even when the husband is showing some intimacy with the wife feels that he is also going to be an abuser for me.
Mm,
And then it can
Correct.
also
Absolutely.
impact the relationship of couple. So this is,
exactly.
it's a very complex and very sensitive topic. And yeah, these are all the possible outcomes or consequences of an abuse.
Right. I would like to share one
That's
more implication of abuse where a daughter was constantly being abused by dad. And this mother, she found me and her doctor recommended. Like Akshara said, it is really difficult. After meeting multiple therapists, doctors, they had almost lost the belief because this the kid's panic attack, she was no more a kid. She was almost 22 years, and was going through this abusive instances from standard ninth. And this, like, it started manifesting as panic attacks where she had completely lost the sense of her own being. She will be normal in front, she'll be very normal, and you don't even know, in few seconds she'll start screaming, her panting, her body language changes. Sometimes she's getting into rage, sometimes harming herself. It can be anything. For next 10 minutes it is difficult to manage her. Sometimes multiple times she was hospitalized also. And it was like, the therapist also, this is for all the therapists I'm saying, sometimes we face instances, certain instances where we need to collaborate with the right doctors also, psychiatrist also. So as a therapist, I was working with her. I was also being constantly in touch with the psychiatry, and he was mentioning about the medication and everything given. And this kid had almost like had a long break also because of her studies. Because of the panic attack, she was not even staying. Like nobody was, people were scared that she's possessed, the way she was behaving in public. And that's when she took a break, long break from her education. But God's grace, after 4 months of therapy, she again rejoined one of the MBA college, and now she's working in a good firm.
Very good, very good. Very good to hear that.
Yeah.
I
So
think we
there
should
are happy
start.
endings.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
are happy endings, but that memories, it doesn't
Yeah.
end. It's always they carry. So
So
you
we have
can't
this
erase the
social
memories.
stigma, right? That like
Mm,
if I go out and tell them what happens to me, what happens to my
yeah,
reputation, what
and
happens
it
to my family's
exactly.
reputation, isolated, kids are isolated because they can't join and there's no support outside.
Support, and this is not been from someone who is uneducated. That was a lecturer. What do you say?
Yeah. And we're
Right.
True.
talking about
So this is
educating people
something,
against this.
educating people. So this is like comes from an educator.
That's
I think
interesting.
this is a really wider topic to talk on. And yeah,
This is for
so we can
another
move
day.
on. It's for
So
another day, I can
it's
say.
for
Yeah.
another day. Yes, absolutely. So Nitya, over to you. I would like to ask you, let's think about a typical day at work. Everything seems fine. That there could be signs of trouble that goes unnoticed. In case of predatory behavior, what red flags should HR and leaderships be vigilant about? And how can they proactively respond to prevent escalation?
This is actually a very tricky question because it's very tricky to understand such behavior in a company or a corporate. Sometimes, people share a very good relationship with each other, very normal relationship, which appears quite normal, is not the normal relationship. So the onlookers should actually have to, try to separate between which is an overtly covered relationship and which is a normal relationship. As
Yes,
a bystander, as a person who's as a part of the team, if this is happening to somebody else, the bystander should be able to differentiate between these two behaviors. One, that is one red flag. And the other one is, as I said, normalizing behaviors of inappropriate jokes, entering somebody else's space, private space. All these should also be taken into account. How often is that happening? How often is somebody else getting into somebody else's private space? How often are they physically, the unwanted physical advances? The person, the victim might feel, the onlookers will also definitely know. So the onlookers here are the people who should be vigilant enough to either tell the victim, this is happening, stay away, or they should inform the other people the leadership that this is actually happening. You should have an eye for it to the HR. Okay, so
absolutely.
physical
Yes, yes.
advances, inappropriate jokes, unwanted touching, invading personal space, all these, and very covert relationship. When there is a relationship which goes beyond the normal in a cubicle, then that should also be taken into consideration. Apart from this, when there we are in a group, there are quite few people who are scared to be in a group because of somebody else. That needs to be recognized. That fear again, okay, that person is here. Fear. So what is behind the fear? Is it because of predatory behavior? Is it because of harassment or abuse? So that fear also needs to be taken into consideration. Again, that is also a bystander's view.
Got
Because
it.
if I am abused and I'm scared of being in that group, I'm not going to come and tell you. That's what happens generally in a company, in a corporate. So
Yes,
when
yes.
I have that fear, what will happen to me? I don't tell you, but the other people might understand that I am scared of something, or I isolate myself from a particular group. So why? Why am I not being there? Why am I isolating myself from that particular group? Again, is a question which everybody in a if we are in a group, we are in as a community in a corporate or a company, we should be able to look at each other, we should be able to support each other this way. Now these are quite the red flags that happen sometimes. And what to say, promotion. A person getting a promotion just like that, who's not even eligible. When there are other people who are eligible, they have not gotten it, but a person has gotten it. And there is favoritism going on around for that particular person. These are the red flags, many, many red flags that, important red flags that we should be looking at. Favoritism is something that you can actually see. Everybody in
Absolutely.
the team will feel it. Everybody in the section will feel that, okay, this person, why are they being the favorite? Why are they getting that? Why not me? So when that happens, I think everybody should see that as a red flag, especially when it is happening in the opposite gender, or when you know about the person who's promoting that, you should probably see that as a red flag. And
Right.
what can be done, again, as I said, see the early warning signs. Don't be a bystander.
Hmm.
See the early warning signs, report it to the person, the victim, or report it to the leaders in the group, your peers. Have them notice these things. You can actually ask, are you noticing this? This is not something bad. Are you noticing it? I'm feeling this is bad. Maybe he or she may fall a victim to that particular person. So let's try to do something. Do you also feel like that? There's nothing wrong in asking it. If that's asking in the for the larger community's goodness, maybe next the other person might get affected. Third is zero tolerance for all this. We should never tolerate. As a company, as a
Tolerance.
team, as a leader, we should never have tolerance for such behavior in the company. And I really feel, as an HR myself, I really feel HR should be empowered enough to take actions in such a way that uh, it is not influenced by the people in power.
There's no influence. Correct.
So if they are given that power to take action, even if it is a minor action, like calling those people up and say, don't do this, this is not good, they are not feeling it comfortable. So HR should definitely have that power. And more so, we should have a feedback system in place where it could be
Mhm.
anonymous as well. You need not know the victim. You need not have
Mhm.
to say, this is from me. I am writing a letter to you. Let it be
Correct.
anonymous.
Correct.
Have
We
a
should have.
box.
Yes.
Have a
Yes.
box. Let it be anonymous. Let people
Anonymous.
just let them
Yes.
know that this is the person who's doing this. And there are a lot of people who are, affected by this particular behavior. So all these, I think, are very small things, but if put in place, will have a very great impact in reducing whatever is happening. And if we actually see those red flags, which I mentioned, I think we can at least stop it halfway. And
Very
as
interesting.
doctor said, prevention is actually better than cure anytime.
Sure.
We can
Anytime.
only put
For
everywhere,
every
we can
point.
only
Every
punish.
moment.
Yeah, we
Yes.
can only punish, but we cannot, stop what has happened to the person. So initially seeing the warning signs, I think actually is one good thing that can prevent anything that is happening,
Correct.
especially in a workplace. And
Very,
absolutely zero tolerance.
very interesting when you meant about that. We know we should have an anonymous system wherein everybody is putting their inputs. And this reminded me of the time when I was in college and we had this kind of an issue with the faculty members. And every student were asked, anonymously, we went to this computer lab and we were given each faculty member's name and we were asked to write about that person. What did you find wrong? And there was this one teacher who was very biased towards a particular student. And I was the one when you said favoritism, one word came, and that is nepotism. Nepotism was the first time that I understood the real meaning when I experienced nepotism was with this teacher because I later on came to know that this teacher had an affair with that student. And she would be so rude with me, especially who was very weak at that particular subject. And I would look out, seek help from her, but she would turn a blind eye. And that is how it started. I mean, I put down my thoughts into that day when I had to share my thoughts. It made a lot of changes for me and even the other students around. Our faculty members changed, and due to that our grades became better. So
Right.
Nitya, what you just shared is something that companies should input. Really interesting.
Exactly. every team I think should have an anonymous box where the team people can go and put what they feel as abuse or harassment.
Very true.
So
Very true. Very input. Very fruitful. Thank you, Nitya. So, to all
thank you.
of you, Aksara, Nitya, and Sumaya, let's take a moment to reflect on how we as a society often talk about difficult situations. Too often too focused is misplaced on those who have suffered. Let's talk about those who have suffered. Instead of holding the predators accountable, how can we collectively change the narrative from a victim blaming to holding predators accountable? And on an individual level, what role each of us play in driving this important shift?
Who would like
Hmm.
to go first?
I think
Huh?
Akshara can go first because I'm
Yeah, Akshara,
collecting
go
my
ahead.
thoughts. I'm
Oh, go
collecting my
ahead, Akshara.
thoughts.
Yeah. I think the idea of conducting this webinar itself is to bring that awareness, which is the first step that we all need to do. Because as we discussed in the whole discussion, that many people do not even know how to recognize the predator, what could be the situation within me which may make me a victim, and so on. So we have to collectively start bringing this awareness that yes, this is happening in the society and we all need to take care of it from ourselves in the first place. And whenever there is a victim blaming that happens very easily, just like that, society should start countering the predator. That why are you blaming the victim in the first place? Why don't you take up the responsibility? if if the victim was the person was the one who made this to happen, okay, what were the senses that yours were doing? Where was your consciousness that existed in terms of this act, right? So this is how we need to question the uh, victim blaming mentality of the predators. I think it is also important for us to create a support structure for the survivors or for these victims, as Nitya was talking about anonymous complaints, etc., etc. We can also create a support group where victims can come and share their difficult stories, and then maybe people can start helping each other and create a support structure for each other. And it has to be a collective effort all the time, because and very interesting point again, this I think this kind of campaign started happening very long time ago. I think even almost 10 years ago, that there was something called he for she campaign,
Mm.
where men were talking for women. So this kind of sensitization is very, very essential. Again, I was very happy when both the women in the panel were talking that even boys are going through the similar abuse, because when the opposite genders talk for others, it becomes more empowering than we talk about ourselves. Because if a woman talks about the abuse that is happening for a woman, many times people may presume it as victimhood. Similar case for a man. If I am talking about the abuse that men go through, then people may say, okay, probably he's playing the victim card. No, it is not the case. And instead, if we talk for each other, that men speak for women and women speak for men,
Exactly.
that is when we can collectively create a safe space for both the genders and protect all the victims and counter all the predators. So this is what I'm thinking.
But won't
Absolutely.
there be favoritism played over here, Doctor? If we are looking at men talk for women and women talk, what if a man liked a particular female and the female refused him and he wanted to take his revenge on her? Won't there be a misinformation that is spread in that
That can
case?
also be the case. I do not deny that. I mean, there is also a possibility that somebody who is talking in favor of women and women rights may become an abuser himself. That kind of possibility is also there. I'm not denying it at all. In fact, I have seen such a case also where this person openly or publicly is a women right activist, even
Oh,
when he is a male. But then internally, when I saw he was abusing women because women were feeling safe to go to him, and then I mean, yeah, that kind of thing can always happen. So we have to be vigilant about that too. But on a collective basis, what I was thinking is maybe this kind of support structure for opposite genders can be a good idea.
Good idea. Yeah, very interesting. Yes, we could implement that. Yes.
To add
Exactly.
on to when doctor said like support structure, I've had an incident where I've seen where one of the girls in a team was actually abused in a place where there was no camera. Right, and when spoken about that particular person, like I just done happened to me, there were other women in the group who also said yes, it happened to me, so what?
Right.
Oh,
So they never gave their support. So what? It's okay. It happens. It cannot happen. It is normalization. Like this should not happen. I don't like it. I will definitely go ahead and complain because I'm not comfortable with it. So what happens here is when the same gender people themselves do not give support to those people who are being abused,
hmm, right.
especially in a corporate, in a
Got it.
team.
With the team.
What's so what? So what is not the question there. I was abused and I need support here. If you cannot support, fine, but then I need a solution for it. So
Exactly.
there are people who stand, same gender people also, as doctor said, who stand in the way of getting protection or support.
That's true.
I think that
That's very true.
that also is a big area where we actually need to address because, as he said, the daughter was abused, but the mother did not believe that it was that particular person who abused. So
Exactly.
there lies. We ourselves are an obstacle to our own support systems. So that I think is also a major area where we need to address.
That's true. So, to add to both of you, like I was just collecting my thoughts, I feel something before anything, psychological safety has to be the cornerstone. It has to be an emotional bedrock for everyone if we want to have, like, just have that freedom to be ourselves, celebrate our existence in the world. Psychological safety has to be, people have to be educated on psychological safety, where they are giving a complete, not like, I don't feel somebody has to give us the freedom, but at least where you're creating a safe space where people can speak their mind, speak their heart, without feeling that they are getting into a risk, show vulnerability without any fear of being judged or fear of humiliation, or sometimes people are silent because of getting punished or being rejected. And who is this society? Society is nothing. Oh, no, it's not just an abstract entity, but each brick, each individual, we are the brick of the society. And if you closely look, the culture or the family or the communities that are thriving in this society have been come up with a common beliefs, and beliefs can anytime be reconstructed. So we need not go with the same norms or same rules just because my mother had thought this, I have to continue this. This is the way my boss have behaved, I will continue this. So in organization, when you talk about performances, or so like you gave an example that about the cardiac arrest, we don't know what actually happened. But I have one thing I would like to say is, you having that openness and simplifying the communication is important. You can define performance productivity as what you are expecting, or it can turn into an abuse, or it can turn into like ill health for someone or a death for someone. So just understand that a simple open communication is important, and please break these norms of being a society, and this is what it has been going through, this is the values, these are the behaviors. Because don't try to influence people on what behaviors and values you have been getting adapted to, but try to reconstruct new behaviors, new values, so that We all can thrive. We all can come up with new beliefs, new actions, choices that contribute towards the larger landscape of the society, right? So anytime we can change. And there is something to add to this. I would also like to share in the chat box one of the assessment to reassess our own behaviors, which Dr. Akshara has created. I would like to share that. So, Akshara, would you like to share something about this assessment and how it will be beneficial for people?
Yeah, definitely. So this is a very simple assessment that we have created just for us to assess where do we stand in terms of carrying the trauma, and are we also are we also the victims of abuse at any point of time? The reason why, or the rationale behind this questionnaire, is that many times I have seen that many people suppress their negative emotion, especially the traumatic experiences, so much
Absolutely.
that they do not even recognize that they were also victims of it at one point of time. However, they continue to carry the dysfunctional pattern because of those traumatic incidents. So it is for every one of us to recognize what is that we have been going through, or what is that we are carrying within ourselves. Is there any kind of dysfunctional pattern that are impacting our lives, be it personal life, be it career, profession, anything for that matter, or even social life for that matter? Let's recognize it. And then, if you feel that it is important for you to address it, heal that trauma, then probably you can definitely reach out to the professional so that they can be
Exactly.
of your help to address those trauma. So, this is the broader idea behind the questionnaire that we have created.
Wonderful.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for that
Just
assessment.
one statement I would like to add. Today's victim is tomorrow's self abuser, and then it is abuser for the whole world.
Correct. That's very,
Yeah.
very, very
Exactly.
good. Very
Yes.
good. And as for the assessment, I'll put it down on the description on the YouTube description. So all of you would be able to access Dr. Akshara's assessment form. And I just want to say a big, big thank you to Nitya, Aksara, and Samaya for opening a door to awareness, opening a door to educating us on the different phases of abuse. And I believe that many who would come across this webinar, this talk show, will understand where they stand as a victim. Like I said in the beginning of this talk show, that many of us thought it was normal. But right now, I understood what is normal and what is not. So, as we conclude our exploration of the unspoken, remember every voice raised against abuse is a light in the darkness. The conversation that we had tonight are just the beginning. Let's carry these insights forward, challenge the status, and create ripples of change in the community. Your voice matters. Use it. Challenge the unspoken. Transform the narrative. This is Coach Atul Abraham signing off from Voice It, where we don't just talk about change, we ignite it. Good night, and let's make tomorrow a little safer than today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank